Who's how? Rams how? You know who we rollin' with. Golden Rams Buzz Podcast. Hit like, share, and link. Who's how? Rams how? You know who we rollin' with. Golden Rams Buzz Podcast. Home of the champions. Who's how? Rams how? You know who we rollin' with. Golden Rams Buzz Podcast. Hit like, share, and link. Who's how? Rams how? You know who we rollin' with. Golden Rams Buzz Podcast. Home of the champions. When I need a scoop on the league, I hit up the dream team. Golden Rams Buzz.
Welcome to episode 9 of the Golden Round Buzz podcast with Damon and Sal, sponsored by the Brea Bakery bread, as well as Recover 180. Today, our guest will be Seattle Seahawk superfan Patrick Harris. But is he really a super fan? Wait till we ask to discuss that with him. With that being said, here with my co-host Sal Martinez. Sal, the Rams win on Thursday Night Football, 30-20. Matthew Stafford was 24 of 33 for 279 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 to DeMarcus Robinson, 1 to Kyren Williams, 1 to Cooper Kupp. Kyren Williams, 28 touches, 116 yards, a touchdown. Puka Nacua makes his return, 7 catches for 106 yards. Sal, what did you think of the game?
It was pretty much what I thought. I mean, it was awesome to see both Puka and Cooper Kupp back. But I knew that what the Rams offense is capable of, especially with, 2 of the stars returning. So, I feel like the Rams, when they start getting their players back, they can compete with anybody in the NFC. So I was excited. The energy was perfect. Tailgate was good. So everything kind of flowed, went into the game, and it was a great game. Definitely a great game.
Now, before the game, there's rumblings that if the Rams lost, Cooper Kupp was about to be traded. I kept on hearing that at tailgate, whispers. People kept on asking me, Damon, are you going to see Cooper Kupp's last game? I said, first of all, I don't think pessimistically. I think optimistically. So why would it be his last game when the Rams are going to win? They're not going to lose this game, so why did you even bring that up? They didn't know what to say. So what are your thoughts about all the trade rumors, Cooper Kupp, rumors? Me, myself, I don't do rumors. I do facts. And the fact is, he didn't get traded. So thoughts on that?
I agree 100%. And I think also, if you're around a football team, you hear all kinds of stuff. They all, like you hear that saying, the best trade, is a trade that never happened. But, like business, I mean, sports is business. So, the media put it out there like the Rams were shopping, Cooper Kupp. And like Coach McVay said, they never called any team. Teams called the Rams. But, like you said, he also kept, Cooper Kupp informed. And I don't think they were going to trade him. I mean, they're going to you trade him, it's like giving up on the season. There's no way in LA. You can't, you're barely building a fan base now. You have no time. You don't have the opportunity to start, getting rid of people right now. That would be the worst thing. Plus, especially for a guy that, like Cooper Kupp, he's pretty much the heart and soul of the Rams offense. So I'm glad that the rumors were over and Coach McVay said, he'll be on the team for the rest of the season. So.
Did you see how big of a difference the energy felt with Puka? Once Puka Nacua got activated and when Cooper Kupp was activated, all the alerts went off and people just the energy went up in the building. Yes. And you see how much better the offense and defense played with those two people back. Matthew Stafford looked like a whole new person. 4 touchdowns. The whole year leading up, he didn't have 4 touchdowns. In one game, so he had 4 touchdowns. Cooper Kupp looked great. Those catches. Puka Nacua, at first he dropped a couple. That's just rust. But just the way they played, the chemistry, I think we had talked about during the week. Remember that catch you had described describe what you saw.
I've never seen anything like it. Like I said, when I watch the game, I prefer to watch it from the end zone because I like to see the quarterback drop back. I like to see him go through his progressions. I can see the offensive line, opening up holes. I can see Kyren, making the right reads and all. And so that pass along the sidelines, when Stafford, dropped back to pass, when he threw the ball, there was like a corner and a safety. And he threw Cooper Kupp, I said, where is he throwing it? And then all of a sudden, Cooper Kupp made that cut and knifed between both defenders and made that reception. He made it look effortless, but it's amazing, the capabilities of both Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford.
Now, with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua being back, it opens up holes for Kyren Williams to run through. It opens up everything else for the other receivers, like DeMarcus Robinson, 2 touchdown passes. Now every receiver can fall back into their normal place in the order of the receivers of the dogs, And what I also like, Sal, the young defense played with aggression.
Oh yeah, I guess every Ram fan was worried about when Aaron Donald, retired. He pretty much took the heart of the Rams defense, right? And so when you and I were talking, I was saying that the Rams, defense lacks a leader. You know, everybody thought it was going to be Kobe Turner, but Kobe Turner's a lot like, he reminds me so much of Rosie Greer. He's like Rosie Greer 2.0. I mean, super smart, super smart guy, musical guy, into literature, everything, exactly like Rosie Greer. Rosie Greer, a great player, but he wasn't that vocal leader. But you see now that, Jared Verse is starting to take on that role, and he embraces that role as a rookie. He's starting to intimidate these offensive linemen, and he's getting after it. They know he's coming, and he talks a lot, but when you can back it up, it's all good.
Sal, Jared Verse is a rookie and getting double teamed?
Yeah. Isn't that
like
crazy?
Aretha Franklin said, didn't she have a song called Respect, RESPCT? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let me repeat that. Jared Verse is a rookie getting double teamed in the NFL.
It's amazing. Also in the preseason games, he wasn't even mentioned as far as defensive rookie of the year because the Rams didn't play him in preseason, right? So everybody was they were calling, all these other rookies, Latu, everybody. I said, you know what? Jared Verse is going to be rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year. And now you're starting to see how much pressure, right, the Rams are putting on. And when you look at the numbers, I'm not a big numbers guy, but in our division, the Rams have given up the least amount of touchdowns in our division. You always talk about everyone else's defense except the Rams defense. We're young. We're only going to get better. The Rams only, I think, have given up 19 touchdowns for the season.
And the only game
Niners have given up more touchdowns than the Rams.
And the last 3 games left opponents 20 points or under. Mm-hmm. I guess that Chris Shula talk isn't a talk anymore, a whisper. Well, so I guess they're not firing him, right?
I know, right? They want everyone fired, huh? But it's funny because Chris Shula was consistent with what he said the Rams are going to be. Defense was going to be attacking. They're going to be smart. They're going to create a lot of takeaways. Everything he said is starting to take place now. And you start looking at the Rams' numbers, it's pretty impressive what they've been able to do. And also, look at the teams the Rams are playing. These are all playoff teams. So you had the third youngest team in the league going up against these playoff teams, and the Rams are competing. I mean, everybody goes on and on about the Detroit Lions, and the Rams took them into overtime. And, that one last drive in overtime pretty much cost the Rams a game. But the Rams were like toe-to-toe with the Lions. So
every team the Rams lost to is first or second place. They all have winning records. Minnesota 5-2, mm-hmm. or Detroit 6-1 or whatever. Mm-hmm. Green Bay 5-2. Cardinals 4-4, yes. First place in the division. So the Rams lost to high caliber teams.
Oh yeah, and that's why I always say don't confuse an injured team with a bad team. People just look at the record and think, oh, the Rams are terrible. No, the Rams are finally starting to get their players back. But I mean, give a lot of credit to Coach McVay and to his coaching staff to be able to keep the Rams intact, right? There was no finger pointing or anything like you see on the sidelines of a lot of teams. The Rams stay together, and everybody is just starting to come together. You can start feeling it. But the good thing also is all these players, offensive linemen, defensive players also that are part of the rotation. They're only getting that game experience. That's only going to help us as the Rams make that playoff run and take over the NFC West. Yeah.
And the defense even had a safety. Yes, it was a face mask, but if you run a red light and they don't give you a ticket, it doesn't matter. Yes, it happens a lot. Kyrie Williams got face mask a couple times.
I mean, I've watched so many games where the Rams have been on the opposite end. But this is football. There's no crying in baseball, no crying in football. You got to get over it. These losing franchises are always crying about something, But the Rams had nothing to do with that. There's a lot of calls that aren't called. You shouldn't get mad at the Rams. Get mad at the ref.
And also,
but even and people say, oh, they should review every play. You know how long that game would take?
Exactly.
I mean, these are human errors. These are things that happen. But the same thing happened to the Rams when they played Chicago Bears. Last play of the game. I mean, it should have been a penalty on Stafford, right? Yeah. Stafford got
face mask.
Hit face mask. Yeah. They didn't call a penalty. And one guy, a Bears fan, he texted me. He said, oh, man, that should have been a penalty. And I said, but it wasn't. Yeah. So I don't worry about coulda, woulda, shoulda.
And it's crazy because a couple years ago or last year, the Rams tried to have an NFL rule, face mask should be reviewable. Everybody's like, no, don't review
they
it.
Didn't want it.
All of a sudden, okay, review face mask. So when it affects another team, that's when you want to put the rule in.
But think about this.
Come on, man.
Look at the records going in. Vikings were coming in,
Only one loss.
Yeah, 5-1, right? Going in to play a Ram team that only had 2 wins.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden now that, they're crying about plays like that. You saw what happened. The Rams defense in the second half, they shut the they shut the Vikings down.
Yeah, they outscored.
And that's when you see good coaching, is when you make adjustments at halftime and you come out. The Rams defense in the second half is starting to, they're starting to hit their stride and the momentum. I mean, I enjoy Greatest Show on Turf, all of these explosive offenses, but I've always been a defensive guy. So to me, I love watching the Rams defense.
Because if you think about the defense gets, the offense scores the points, but think about the defense you talk about in the Hall of Fame. Oh, yeah. Steel Curtain defense, Steelers, Purple People Eaters, Minnesota, the Rams, what are they called? The Merlin Olsen, all them.
Yeah, Fearsome Foursome.
But,
you always hear
it's always defensive.
They say like
the Bears.
85 Bears.
Yeah.
Offenses win games, defense win championships.
Yes.
And, by the end of the season, I guarantee you the Rams will be in that conversation.
Like I said, how many offensive names are in the Hall of Fame? Yeah, Greatest Show on Turf, but I don't know many offensive that have like nicknames in the Hall of Fame. We know, of course, the Bear, like you said, the Bears, Ravens, all them names they have names for them in the Hall of Fame. But as far as offensives, there's not many nicknames in the Hall of Fame. Let's check the standings, Sal. After that, the NFC West, Cardinals, first place, 4-4. San Francisco, 4-4. Seattle, 4-4. Rams in last place, 3-4. But we know they play this.
Well, and it's interesting because when you look at the standings, right?
Yes.
You look at the Rams, although Rams are in last place, a game behind, the Rams are ascending. Anybody who watches football, knows football, sees that the Rams are starting to click now. All those other teams, Cardinals, Kyler Murray has to play a complete season. That hasn't happened yet, Geno Smith, he's up and down. And then you look at Purdy, same thing. Purdy hasn't proven anything. I'll take Stafford. Like I said, I always take McVay, Stafford, Kyron Williams over any head coach, quarterback, running back in the NFC. Yeah. And that's why I expect the Rams to be in the NFC, represent the NFC against Kansas City Chiefs. And so my prediction is still strong.
Yeah. I'm going to go over these games, right? And I'm going to talk about another game too, and then we're going to talk about. So the Pats beat the Jets 25-22. Did Devontae Adams play that game, or is he still missing on the milk carton because he seems to be 2 weeks and 2 catches? They thought he's going to come there and they lose to the Pats, Sal. NFL any given Sunday, but
but as fans, right? It's so funny how a lot of these critics that are on the air, I remember when they said the Jets were Super Bowl bound. They said that the Jets could overtake the Chiefs. And these are guys that have been on TV and on radio for 15 years. No one ever mentioned the Rams. And yet, I guarantee the Rams will go further. They're already further than the Jets. That whole organization is in trouble.
The Eagles beat the Bengals 37-17. This is the game I want to talk about. Lions and Titans 52-14, Sal. So the Lions are in the Super Bowl already, right? Because, they're the best team in the NFL. They're destroying teams. But there's only one team that played them kind of tough this year, right? So far, the Lions are putting
them to overtime, right?
Yeah, who's that team that took them in overtime, Sal?
I think it starts with L.A. Rams.
And then last year in the playoffs, Sal, 1 point. Hey.
But, and it's so funny because in football, it's all about matchups, right? The Rams match up perfectly with the Lions, and they know that, But the funny thing is, when the Rams played them, it was the first game of the season, right? Sunday Night Football. No football fan had even seen Jared Verse. That was his first game in the NFL.
Yes.
And you saw how well he played. So look at him now, from that game to now. The Rams are so much better. The Rams have grown so much more. The Lions right now, it's a flavor of the month. I still would pick, and it sounds crazy, but I would pick Green Bay over the Lions.
Wow. Okay.
And we'll see as the season plays on. Right now they're doing a lot of razzle-dazzle, Jared Goff catching touchdown passes. Kind of cute, but there's no style points in football.
Yeah, there isn't.
You know what? As the season plays on, it's going to get more physical. And believe me, the Rams traded Jared Goff for a reason. And that's why we brought in Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford's tough as nails, and we won a Super Bowl with him. So until Jared Goff wins the Super Bowl, the Rams won that deal.
Yeah. The Falcons beat the Bucs, and your second favorite quarterback or third favorite quarterback, Baker Mayfield, 31-26.
He's leading the league in touchdown passes, right?
You love Baker Mayfield.
Well, I just like his vibe. He's a winner. He's a winner. But he lost 2 receivers.
Yeah, so he's doing good.
It's really hard when you lose your top receivers, but. Yeah.
Now
nobody felt sorry for the Rams when we lost Cooper Kupp and Nakua, so it's all good. You got to find a way to win. Next man up.
The Cards beat the Dolphins 20-27 for the second straight week.
The last second field goal. Huh?
This is ball. I'm like, come on, because the Rams could overtook them and been in first, but the Cards win 20-27. I can't believe it.
But isn't it crazy? Because, I mean, you know, the Rams always preach that. A lot of teams do. You can't win a lot of games in the NFL with field goals, right? Especially last second field goals.
Oh, man.
I mean, it was against the Chargers and against the Dolphins. And both those teams are struggling, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, when the Rams play the Cardinals again, I expect the Rams to be able to handle them a lot easier.
Browns beat the Ravens 29-24.
Mm-hmm.
That's a shocker to me, Sal, because Jameis Winston, he's probably going to start the rest of the year. He wins 29-24. Nobody suspected that.
You know, that game was amazing, right? I mean, I don't know if you see the, you know, when he was hyping the team up, Jameis Winston, right?
He did that.
But, I mean, he was talking about God, and right? But, you know, the power of belief, it was amazing. No one gave the Browns a chance. And yet he was able to carry that team, and he made some beautiful throws, and it ended up, you know, paying off for them.
Did you hear his Eminem reference? He did an Eminem reference. The Chargers beat the Saints 26-28. The Saints are just falling apart.
Yeah, they are.
The Chiefs beat the Raiders 27-20, so I guess the Raiders are not having a Super Bowl party off that one. Mm-hmm. The Niners beat the Cowboys 30-24. Now, this game I want to talk about, Sal. The Bills beat Seattle 31-10. They're beating them so bad the players start fighting themselves.
That's something you never want to see on the sidelines. When your team starts falling apart like that, you know, you got to be better coached. I know they have a young coach. I get all that. But still, these players, when you start doing that, that's exactly what happened to the Eagles, right? It doesn't matter how much talent you have on that roster. If you do not have full control of that team, you know, emotions run high in every game, you know, big deal. But you still have to know how to play with composure.
The game one of the best games we saw was the Commanders beat the Bears on a 52-yard Hail Mary from Jaden Daniels. They said he had like 12 seconds to throw.
Yeah, that was unbelievable. That was just a defensive.
You see that Bear player? See number 29, like this is over. And then the play came. He's the one that tipped it and they caught it. That was crazy.
But isn't it funny? I mean, that's why we love football. It's never over till it's over, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how much time did he have to throw, right? And you're just watching it. The ball sailed in the air. I knew it was going to be caught.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Craziness, right?
That was crazy. But
it is fun to watch. I mean, to me, you know, watching Daniels develop, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. With that being said, coming up, our guest, Seattle Seahawk fanatic. I'm gonna tell you why he's a fanatic. I've known this guy since I was 12 years old, so I have some interesting tidbits about why he's a Seattle fan and how he became a Seattle fan. Up next, Patrick Harris.
Oh, let's hear this. Let's hear this.
Let's do this. Major shout out to our sponsor, La Brea Bakery Bread. You can find La Brea Bakery Bread at all your local retail stores in the bakery section. Once again, take and bake with La Brea Bakery Bread. Here we are at Navarro's Taqueria, located in Fullerton, California. I can't wait to taste this delicious food. Navarro's Taqueria is a new podcast sponsor of the Gordon Ram Buzz with Damon and Sal. Whose house? Rams house. Whose house?
Cowboys house.
What? Rams house. Boo! Thank you so much for these birria tacos. Let's see what they taste like. Joining us now, I have known this man since we were 12 years old in junior high at Portola Junior High in the city of Orange, California. When we were kids, I met him as a Rams fan, ladies and gentlemen. I am a passionate Rams fan since I was 5 years old. I met this man at 12 years old in junior high. He was a passionate fan at one time too. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest, and yes, he's still my homie, Patrick Harris.
What's up, my man? Thanks for having me. Appreciate being at the Golden Round Buzz. You know what I mean? Nice place you guys got here. Except for you.
Okay.
I'm just playing.
Yeah, okay.
That's a homie, man.
My question is this.
Ask me anything you
We're in
want.
junior high, 12 years old. We talk about the Rams 24/7 constantly. We talked about Eric Dickerson. I got traded before we started junior high.
I was at the game when Eric Dickerson broke the record against the Oilers.
Yes, you told me you went to all the Rams games.
My popsy went hunting with the offensive line.
You know what I'm saying? And then we talked about Robert Del Pino. We talked about Jim Everett. We talked about defense. We talked about offense.
Right.
When the Rams lost to the Niners in 1989, me and you were in class sad about it because there's Niner fans talking trash to us. All this stuff growing up. Rams this, Rams that, Rams this.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, 17 years old, the Rams are leaving us. And you said, I'm going to pick a team, Damon. But you didn't pick a team. You just picked a random team because they weren't playing in our division at the time. It was the AFC West because remember Seattle?
Yep.
Denver, KC, I believe the Raiders.
And the Raiders.
Yes. But all that time, you were there consoling each other as kids. You know what I'm saying about the Rams. So why did you become a Seattle Seahawks fan? Why did you do this to us, me dog?
Well, first of all, when you're a Rams fan and your pops is a diehard Rams fan, which he still is, so it's not a complete I hate the Rams and have always hated the Rams. So you got to understand how to sexualize your mind sometimes. Sometimes you were here and sometimes you were there. So if you were in the red room, you can't be in the red room if you're over here in the blue room, right? It's two different things. So I respect the Rams' history, Leroy Irvin, all the boys, okay? But as a businessman, watching what they did to leave, I was butthurt beyond repair. Excuse me. Plus, they weren't playing good. So Pops was like, they're not going to renew. I was like, why not? Oh, they ain't trying to sign nobody. Why not? How are you going to let Eric Dickerson even go? So the business was trajectory, it was downhill. Plus, I was hooping a lot. So when the time came for the Rams to leave, they were already in the gutter. So I didn't pull for them, let them go. Excuse me. When they won the Super Bowl, I didn't cheer. But as a player, as a baller, I followed the sport more as neutral until 2006. When my homie had friends from Seattle, I was like, man, let's hang out. I got to watch the Seahawks. I said, I don't got a team. He's like, watch them with me if you want. Come on over. I hosted a party. Didn't click right away. You just met that girl. Sometimes it takes a little while to develop, but I'm hard-headed and very competitive. You know what I mean? I'm in my all league, you know what I mean, as a hooper. So I know the level of competitiveness. But then not seeing them take advantage of the area, going to St. Louis where they were welcome, that didn't sit right. Change the logo, change the colors away from the beautiful colors. Then you bring them back. But see, I ain't like that. I ain't trying to take that girl back. But of course, when they did come back, it was a little bit of a a little bit of a glitch. But nah, man, I'm a USC fan. When Pete Carroll went up there, things started to flow even more. I watched Hasselbeck. I watched Sean Alexander. But again, you're not all into it, but you watching plays. See what I mean?
Yeah.
Then as things started to progress, you know what I mean? Legion of Boom started popping up. Everything starts to kind of pull, and you go in. I would never switch teams for no reason. But you give me economic reason, now I can't watch them. And man, it just didn't click, man. So, it's not really like I hated them always. See what I mean? But nah, they got to go.
So your pop's a super Rams fan, right?
Pops was nobody until they came back. He was a big Rams fan. Now he is again, yeah.
Okay, so how does that work, the dynamic when the Rams are playing in Seattle? Do you guys trash talk each other? How's that dynamic working?
I talk shit. I mean, that's just the normal state. But it's different now, getting older. You know what I mean? I understand how it all works. And watching the Rams play, like he was saying, a young team, you can't hate if you know the game. And from our standpoint, we got good minds, but we lack authority to maybe, I believe the players should take accountability for it, to be honest with you, especially with a young coach. Like, hey, we need to be on our best behavior for this cat. But again, fighting on the sidelines is ridiculous. But I saw the play, and it was a pretty dumb play. And we was making stupid moves against the Bills the whole time. Snap over the head, tripping over the foot. We don't got Metcalf. And then all of a sudden, we're looking real shaky. And then the pressure that Josh Allen puts on you is enough to get you into, margin of error becomes smaller and smaller. So we weren't relaxed. It was raining. And, Josh Allen did his thing. But that fight and stuff like that, man, I'm old enough to know, hey, how that heat of the battle works. But I'm down with the man. I'm going to be down for the rest of my life. And it's just one of them twisted stories. And I know I'm not alone out there. So any of you out there who let the Rams go, don't feel bad. Don't let these Rams fans tell you how to be. Don't let them tell you nothing about loyalty. Your loyalty's in yourself and your health. So everybody else talking, I ain't trying to hear that.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
What's funny is the last, 4 or 5 years, me and him watched the Seattle Rams game together.
Yep.
Sit next to each other during the game.
Yep.
So I think last year when the Rams won, the field goal kicker missed the field goal, and I don't even remember him shaking my hand. He just got up and left. I'm like, where are you going? He's like, man, I'm out of here. But when Seattle beat the Rams,
we had that wrapped
I
up.
shook his hand and said, great game. Show the crowd. What's that jersey, man? Show the people what jersey that is. You got. Show the people this jersey. What is that, man? Give us a history lesson about this guy,
It's a
dude.
qualification jersey, man. Prove my distance.
Sean Alexander, Seattle fan, Sean Alexander, number 37, he scored. Didn't he have a record until LaDainian Tomlinson broke it?
Yeah.
He had the most touchdowns in a season.
Yeah.
One of the greatest plays in Super Bowl history, the interception by New England Patriots versus Seattle. Why didn't Seattle just run the ball, hand it off to Marshawn Lynch? The death of a dynasty happened right there.
Get it all out.
That death of a dynasty, 1 yard away.
Well,
they want to pass the ball?
If you remember what Pete said, why he did that, it's stupid. He goes, well, we were going to throw the ball no matter what on one of them downs. And I'm thinking, you just caught that 60-yard bomb, if you remember. And we were, everything set up on the sideline. We're ready to go. And they set it up. Beast mode's ready. I mean, I just think that was one of them situations where the coach maybe had too much experience. And he overthought
the room.
Because, I mean, if you look at a play too, you see the pass. It wasn't like it would have been a touchdown, but homie stepped in.
Woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Yeah.
Let me tell you guys something about Pete Carroll. He seems to overthink the room a lot. USC versus Texas, he had Reggie Bush on the sidelines. Seattle Patriots, he passes the ball instead of runs the ball. Why does he overthink? The biggest games, man.
I think overcoaching. Just sometimes that ego. You know, Pete did a lot of good though, and he's a great mind and a great people's person, which you got to appreciate. But then he don't look like a football player. You know what I mean? So sometimes you got to block all that extra stuff out and just play what's in front of you. You know what I mean? Play the obvious. It's okay because they can't stop you anyway. He bets what's going to happen if he runs the ball. And I don't know if we had a timeout. I think we might have one timeout left on that.
Marshawn Lynch been called a beast mode the last 2 years, 1 yard line, and you don't give him a chance to score.
Yeah, he was heated.
Ladies and gentlemen.
He was heated.
Will you be at this game this December? Will me and you be at the game? Yeah, we're going to be at the game. Sit next to each other.
Got to do it.
You know what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? Patrick Harris, Seattle Seahawks fan. Just remember, whose house? Rams house. Whose house? Rams house. Whose house? Rams house.
Seahawks. Run it.
That was a great interview with Patrick Harris. Like, I've known him since we were 12 years old. And like I said, Sal, when I was junior high, we used to talk about the Rams and like not cry, but just be like extra sad when they lost to like a playoff game. Or remember when they beat the Eagles? We celebrated. When they beat the Giants, we couldn't wait to go to school to talk about it all day. We talked so much this teacher wanted to kick us out. To see him wearing the Seattle stuff, I had to get him on the podcast. I said, I'm going to get you on the podcast and just, man, Sal. Okay, let's go over these. I'm going to go over the standings and then go over next week's games, and then we'll wrap it up. So, Sal, after last week's games, the AFC East is still the same. Buffalo 6-2, Miami 2-5, New England 2-6, and the Jets 2-6. Buffalo, division's over. Buffalo won the division.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
But, real quick, isn't it amazing, though, in the offseason, when they let all those star players leave, right? Everyone thought that they were going to be in trouble, and yet they're actually playing better, right, at a higher level. That's why with football, it's all about attitude and commitment.
Yeah. The AFC North, Sal. Pittsburgh 6-2 with Russell. Wait, Pittsburgh 6-2 with who's the quarterback, Sal?
That's impressive. Russell Wilson, right?
Oh, Russell Wilson. He used to play for Seattle. He played for Denver. 6-2. Baltimore 5-3. Cincinnati 3-5. And Cleveland 2-6. Is Pittsburgh going to hold up and win the division? Sal, is going to be a dogfight between them and the Ravens.
Oh, I think that Russell Wilson made a difference in that game, but can he be consistent with it? If he's consistent, he has another dimension to Pittsburgh Steelers.
Now, I'm talking about the AFC South. So Houston 6-2, Indy's 4-4, Jacksonville's 2-6, and Tennessee's 1-6. Something happened in the Indianapolis game I've never seen in my life. The quarterback said he was tired and he took himself out the game. I never seen a quarterback say, and he got benched. He's benched now. Yeah, he said, I'm tired. He's like, take me out.
But I was never a big fan in college, but also he reminds me so much of Jamarcus Russell of the Raiders. Yeah. And so he lost more than just his starting position. It's going to take a lot for him to even, gain any confidence from coaches, GMs, anywhere.
So how old is he? 23, 24? He said he was tired? Like, I'm tired. Like, I don't know what he was doing. I didn't watch the game. I'm tired. Like, he said,
I mean, any player that gives up on his team like that, they're not going to be accepted by the rest of the team. Everybody's working hard on that roster. You think that they don't want to take a timeout Come on now. Especially when you're supposed to be the leader. I thought he was thrust into a situation and he just wasn't ready for it. But it's funny because, all these people listen to all these scouts, they can make anyone sound good. And then they put them in the game, and then usually the ones that they don't really talk much about are the ones that have the long careers.
The AFC West, the defending two-time champions, KC 7-0, Denver's 5-3, Chargers are 4-3, and the Raiders, of course, in last place at 2-6. Sal, KC 7-0. Is this division over? Is this their division? They won it already, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's over. KC, yeah. There's not a team in that division that can beat them.
How many losses do you think KC has on the year that they're going to have finished the year? They're 7-0 now.
I don't think they'll lose more than 2 games.
Okay. Now, if I ask you a question, be honest, first thing that comes up, if Detroit played KC right now, who do you think would win the Super Bowl? I'm going for the Rams,
KC,
but
easily.
Okay, KC would beat Detroit because everybody's like,
they
Detroit.
don't match up well. They don't match
Yeah,
up.
it's all about matchups. And I think
that's why I tell people when I say the Rams are the only team that match up well with Kansas City.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, because with Mahomes and Matthew Stafford, you would have, it's almost even.
Yeah,
I mean, I love Mahomes, but Matthew Stafford is also pretty good.
Now, this division right here, like I said, the best division of football, the NFC North. Detroit, first place, 6-1. Green Bay, 6-2. Minnesota, 5-2. And Chicago, 4-3. If you thought about it, Chicago should be 6-2 themselves, but they lost on the last second home run. Mm-hmm. Sal, you said Green Bay's going to win this division over Detroit. That's what your thought is?
Still? I think they're a better team.
Okay.
I think they're a better team.
Now, with that being said, do you think they win the division?
Well, right now it's kind of a log jam. It's kind of a log jam in that division, but there's a lot of games. Those teams will start falling off. I guarantee it. I don't start getting excited till after at least week 10, 11. That's when it kind of separates the contenders from the pretenders. So, yeah, I've seen it every year. I've been watching football for years. I know how it works. It's always good, but as you start getting closer to the playoffs, the stage becomes bigger than you expect. Stafford's been there, done that. A lot of these other players just haven't.
NFC South, the Falcons with Kirk Cousins 5-3 in first place. Tampa Bay with your boy Baker Mayfield, 4-4. The Saints are 2-6, and Carolina's bringing up the rear at 1-7. Now, these last two teams, are they going to keep their coaches next year? Because Dave Canales for Carolina is a rookie coach. Carolina's had like 3 coaches in like 4 years or 3 years. New Orleans, Dennis Allen, he's a former Raider coach. They started off like 2-0. I think they lost, like 6 in a row now or something? What is going on?
Yeah, they started off 2-0, and their offense was explosive, right? But, it's so funny. You remember when the Miami Dolphins scored 70 points last season? I mean, why? You just set the bar so high, and now they can't even score 70 points in 3-4 games. It takes them 3-4 games to score 70 points. To me, all you have to do is just score enough points to beat your opponent. You don't have to rub it in or come up with these razzle-dazzle plays. There's no style points in football. All you got to do is have more points than your opponent, keep it moving, stay healthy, and keep moving.
Now, we have next week games. I'm not going to go through all of them, just the ones I see what's going on.
Okay.
Texans and Jets. If the Jets lose this game, I mean, their season's pretty much over, but if they lose to the Houston Texans, that's a good team. So,
really quick, did you see at the end, the last play of the Jets game, where Rodgers started walking off the field? I mean, but nobody says a word about that yet. But then Richardson, everybody's giving him a hard time, right?
Yeah, because it's Aaron Rodgers' team. Aaron Rodgers has the most. He's like so smart. He's smarter than everybody. Supposedly,
he thinks he is.
He's a coach.
But has he?
Yeah.
I mean, the credit that he gets, he's like untouchable, right?
Yeah, nobody wants to say anything to him.
Yeah.
But when he leaves, they wait till somebody leaves the team. Oh,
but
man.
He's like a coach killer. Everywhere he goes, the coaches get fired.
Yeah. McCarthy was with the Jets, and then he didn't want to play with the youngsters. He didn't want to help the receivers, and he was doing the ayahuasca stuff and the dark room and stuff like that.
He wants to be the head coach, the owner, the GM. He wants to handpick his receivers. They wouldn't have brought in Devontae Adams if it wasn't for him, right? Yeah. So they pacify him, trade for him, and he didn't even use him.
To me, Aaron Rodgers still in the dark room. He's never came out because he's with the Jets. Oh, here's a good game, Sal. Broncos and the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs are a 3-game lead, but the Broncos, you never know. Could they beat the Chiefs?
Yeah, they are, but I mean, they got, you got to remember a Broncos quarterback. I mean, I like Bo Nix, but he's young, Actually, I got to tip my hat to Sean Payton. He's really coaching well.
Yes.
He's coaching his team up. For the talent that they have, he's really getting the most from their roster.
Did you see what happened last week when he was being the Carolina Panthers? He tried to score a touchdown, and the guy's like, "Don't be doing that!" And he's like, "Hey," he's all he explained himself. He's like, "I've been in a game. I was up 28 points and lost, And then last year when Miami put up 52 points against the Broncos, he didn't say nothing. He just took it.
But
know?
but a lot of coaches look at things differently, right? Like when the Rams had greatest show on turf, there was many times when the Rams were up and Vermeil just had the Rams just, run the ball. They didn't try and score. Then when New England was up, I mean, they were up by 17 points and against the Jets, and Brady's still in the game throwing passes.
Yeah.
So it depends. The Rams were never that way, and that's one of the reasons why I think that McVay is so well respected, is because just do enough just to win. You don't have to show up other teams.
Bears and Cardinals. Let's go Bears. I mean, they both are good, so we'll see.
Yeah, that game is going to be interesting because that game could really go either way. I think they're like evenly matched. The Cardinals are a weird team. It's still hard to kind of put your finger on what type of team they are. They show. I see a lot of. I watch them play, and they do make some nice plays and pretty consistent. Their defense is coming along, and of course, Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, that guy's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Great receiver, and started to develop that chemistry with Murray. But I don't know, Murray. It's hard for him to play a full season, stay healthy, and that's the key, really.
Here's Lions and Packers. I got the who you got in that game? That's the
I'll
game.
take the Packers.
Woo! That's gonna be a fight. Boy.
Oh yeah, it is. But you're not going to be scoring those type of, you're not going to be running up the score on the Packers defense.
Bucks and Chiefs. I got the Bucks. Yeah, I think the Bucks play the Chiefs. I said the Broncos play Kansas City. I forgot who the Broncos. The Broncos play the Ravens.
Yeah,
the Broncos
Ravens.
don't play the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. Broncos and Ravens. My bad. So you think the Ravens beat the Broncos?
Ravens, yeah.
Okay, and then
I think after that loss, yeah, I think that they'll win.
It's the Bucks versus the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs beat the Bucks.
Yeah, I don't see the Chiefs. I said they'll probably only lose 2 more games for the whole season.
Now, the game, Rams versus Seattle. So the next 3 Rams games, Seattle, Miami, and the Pats.
Yep.
The Rams need to go 3-0, in my opinion, to get things straight, because they're 3-4 right now.
Mm-hmm.
I need them to win the next 3 games, and they're all winnable. So they should overlook any opponents. But we need to start with Seattle. And I need to shut Patrick up and all those Seattle fans he pointed to on camera, which I don't know that many of them myself. So, Sal, the Rams play Seattle close. They beat them. What are your thoughts on this game in Seattle coming this weekend?
I mean, I'm excited because, this is what we wanted, right, as Ram fans. And, if you're, one of the top teams in the NFC West, you're at home, you got the 12th man. It's time to prove it that you're a better team than the Rams. But, Geno Smith, he's solid, but I just don't see him getting past the Rams. I see Jared Verse is going to give him a hard time. Him and Byron Young are going to be all over him, watch. And he tends to give it up, when you put pressure on him. So, but we'll see. It's going to be interesting. Kyron Williams, I think, will also have a big game.
What do you think the score is going to be in that game?
That game, I will say 34-21 Rams.
I say 31-17 Rams, and I get to shut Patrick up because I will be texting and we'll be texting during the game.
Oh, you will be texting.
Of course, we always during the game. He'd be on me, I'd be on him. And for some reason, when the Rams win, I don't hear from him to the next day.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened last year when the Rams beat them and the guy missed the field goal.
Yes.
I didn't talk to him for 2 days, Sal. I said
2 days, or
I didn't talk to him for 2 days after. Oh man, I was like, man, you okay? He walked off. I got it on video. He walked off, threw his hand up. I was like, hey man, he ran on the SoFi. I said, man, just checking if you're home, okay? Not for 2 days. I didn't get a call.
But really quick. One time when the Rams played Seattle, right, and the Rams were down 17 points in Seattle, and the Rams quarterback was Mark Bulger, right, and we were down 17 points. We came back in the second half, and then it went into overtime. And the second play of the game, Bulger threw a bomb to Sean McDonald, and he caught it, and game over. But I told my friends, there was probably like 68,000 fans and probably 67,500 Seahawk fans, probably 500 Ram fans. I told my friends, do not even look at the Seahawk fans. And it was so funny. So we walk out of the stadium. I'm not saying a word. Those Seahawk fans were furious. So I do like the passion of the fans in Seattle, but I like these are the games that you live for, right? When you're a football fan, these divisional games are great, and I think that they're both, they'll both give it their best, so it'll be exciting.
Remember that run with Todd Gurley when he flipped the number? When did the Rams beat Seattle like 40-0 one year, Sal, or 40-7? When Todd Gurley started running the last 30 yards, he had his finger up like we won the NFC West. I love rewatching that game.
It was crazy because I remember Seattle, their reporters, it was third quarter and they were all leaving the stadium. It's hard. It takes a special fan to be loyal, and a lot of fans, it's tough for them.
Yeah.
And I think that, I never once walked out on my Rams. No matter what the score was, I never turned the TV off. I just take it. It's all part of being a diehard fan.
You don't leave the stadium and not
That's
shake
right,
your boy's hand. I mean, it still bothers me. He didn't shake my hand, Sal. He just said, "Nah, Damon, I'll talk." No.
So your hand was out like this.
I said, "Hey, Patrick." I said, "Hey, Patrick." Like, "Hey, man, what's up?" He just went. With that being said,
that's great.
Episode 9 of Going Around Buzz with Damon and Sal. Big shout out to La Brea Bakery Bread, Recover 180. Big shout out to our DJs. Big shout out to our creative team. Big shout out to our director. Big shout out to our guest, Patrick Harris. Make sure you add him on Instagram and boom him. Yeah. Whose house?
Rams house.
Whose house?
Rams.
Whose house? Rams house. Can't
Always,
wait, boy.
It's going to be a great game. Let's go.
Who's House, Rams House, you know who we rollin' with. Rams Buzz Podcast, hit like, share and link. Who's House, Rams House, you know who we rollin' with. Rams Buzz Podcast, home of the champion.